this is my maiden speech in Lanark. I have previously had the opportunity of speaking many times in the county of Lanark, Lanarkshire, but this is my very first speech in the famous town of Lanark, a town which is steeped in Scotland's history, dating way back to the day when the Sheriff of Lanark got his comeuppance from William Wallace. That was way back in 1297 or thereabouts. And of course, I'm also conscious of the fact that Lanarkshire is the birthplace of Keir Hardie, founder of the Independent Labour Party, and one of the principal founders of the Labour Party. I believe that the hall which held the inaugural meeting that led to the birth of the Labour Party is just within 50 yards or so of this hall. These men, Keir Hardie and Wallace, they were what? More than 6 centuries apart, but both of them played a very important role in their own way in the fight for Scottish independence and the fight for democracy and human rights for the people of Scotland. Now, I'm nae William Wallace and I'm nae Keir Hardie, and I don't have any direct historic connections with Lanark or Lanarkshire. But I do still feel some affinity with this part of Scotland and for you, the people who live here. In a previous incarnation, I was MP for West Stirlingshire and then Falkirk West, both of which have got historical connections with William Wallace, the Battle of Stirling Brig, which took place just a few months after the Sheriff of Lanark got his comeuppance, and then of course the Battle of Falkirk the following year. Sadly, it didn't have a happy ending. I also feel some affinity with Keir Hardie through the mining industry and through the Labour movement. Keir Hardie, as I said, was the founder of the ILP and one of the principal founders of today's Labour Party. Well, I was virtually born and brought up in the Labour Party. My late granddad was one of the founding members of the first branch of the Labour Party in the county of Fife. Probably not all that long after that historic meeting in the hall just down the road. My grandfather wasn't born in Scotland, he was actually born in Ireland, and he came as a child to Scotland. He was the youngest of a family of 11. They were economic migrants. They were looking for work, and I don't know how they didn't settle in the coalfields of Lanarkshire, but they went to Fife, and my granddad left school in Cowdenbeath at the age of 10, went to work down the coal mine at the age of 12, and he spent his whole life working to improve things for the people that he represented in local government and for his fellow workers in the labour and the trade union movement. And what it was that fired a lot of people like my granddad and his contemporaries who were pioneers in the labour and trade union movement, what was the driving force behind them was a hunger, sometimes a real hunger, a fire in the belly. You know, they wanted food on the table, and they wanted free education for their children, and a free national health service for people when they were sick, and a decent roof over their heads. These were the simple things that they were campaigning for, and what drove them was a hunger, always a hunger for social justice. And it's that same hunger for social justice which drives many people in the Yes Scotland campaign today. Because the campaign for social justice is just as relevant today as it was way back at the turn of the 19th, 20th century when Keir Hardie founded the Labour Party. Look at the present situation. Scotland is being ruled by a UK government that we did not elect. And this coalition, condemned coalition, call it what you want, they're rewarding the rich with massive tax handouts. They're attacking the poor with massive benefit cuts, including the imposition of this bedroom tax, which is like Robin Hood in reverse, robbing the poor in order to reward the rich. And people are crying out for change, understandably. But when I look at my old workplace down there in the Palace of Westminster, and I'm looking for the possibility of change, and I look at the government benches, and I look at the opposition benches, I honestly do not see much difference. I see Ned Miliband, the leader of the Labour Party, the party founded by Keir Hardie. He doesn't even give a commitment. There's no firm commitment there to undo these savage cuts in welfare which the poor people of this country are suffering from. Miliband won't even give a commitment to abolish the iniquitous bedroom tax. So, changing the occupancy of 10 Downing Street is not going to bring about the changes, the radical changes, which the people of Scotland want to see. I have no faith left in the status quo, and I see independence, okay, it's maybe not a panacea, but it gives a great opportunity for change. Now, I'm a convert to the cause of independence, and my conversion is not based on emotion. It is based mainly on my own experience, particularly my parliamentary experience, to which Amanda referred. I spent, some people say I misspent 26 years at Westminster, followed by 8 years in the Scottish Parliament, and I have come to the conclusion that Westminster is completely out of touch with the people of Scotland. Now, the Scottish Parliament, it's not perfect, it's made up of human beings, and human beings make mistakes, but by and large, I do think that the Scottish Parliament responds far more readily and far more positively to the wishes, the needs, the values and the aspirations of the people of Scotland. And let me just give you a few examples just to illustrate that point. Student finance. Students in Scotland do not pay tuition fees. Care of the elderly. Elderly people in Scotland who require care in the community receive the personal and nursing element of that care free of charge. Free prescriptions, fairly recently introduced by the Scottish Parliament. Now, I hear the so-called leader of the opposition at Holyrood saying that this is something for nothing. You know, that's all, it's something for nothing. Alex Salmon throwing sweeties at the people to try and get their votes. Well, you know, Keir Hardie and maiden must be burning in their graves. Is a free education a mere sweetie? Is a free national health service a mere sweetie? These are some of the foundations on which the Labour Party was built, and the cause for social justice is still campaigning in many parts of the world, and they're still campaigning south of the border for these things because they don't have them. And we've got a national health service which is being privatised south of the border. But at least here, thanks to the Scottish Parliament, we have a free national health service still in the hands of the people. The dream of Keir Hardie and nigh Devon. So I say to myself, if the Scottish Parliament were given the full powers of an independent country, then it would have so much more power, and it would be able to do so much more for the people of Scotland. If the Scottish Parliament had powers over defence and foreign affairs, then we'd be able to get rid of nuclear weapons, and we would also be able to decide whether or not we are going to be involved in illegal warfare. If the Scottish Parliament had powers over the regulation of the banks and financial institutions, then we'd be able to stop the bankers bringing our country to the brink of economic ruin. And if the Scottish Parliament had powers over tax and national insurance, it would be able to introduce a fair system of taxation and get rid of unfair taxes like the evil bedroom tax to which I earlier referred. So, I do not see independence as an end in itself. I see independence as a means of bringing about change. I see independence as a means towards building a better Scotland. And I wouldn't just stop there with Scotland, because there's an old Scots saying, we're all Jock Danson's bairns. A rough translation might be we're all God's children, but whether we believe in God or not, another translation might be we're all members of the same human race, aren't we? And I think when we're talking about an independent Scotland, we've got to have an international vision. We cannot just simply look at Scotland. We've got to look at Scotland as part of the big wide world. And I am despondent when I look at Westminster and when I see some of the foreign affairs agenda down there, the increasing hostility to Europe, the increasing xenophobia. We've got the UKIP tail wagging the Tory dog, and we've got Labour's shadow ministers going around saying that unemployment is the fault of these immigrant workers. I mean, what kind of socialism, national or international socialism is that? That is a nonsense. So I want to see a Scotland which is not simply going to be like some of the little Englanders want to turn the UK into. I want to see a Scotland which is proud to take its part as a full member of the international community and to work for a different agenda, a different kind of ethical foreign policy and home policy, whereby we treat people throughout the world as equal brothers and sisters, and if people from other countries want to come to this country in order to work and live, then they ought to be given the opportunity to do so, and we should recognise the very valuable and positive contribution they have made and continue to make to this country. A wee point before I finish about Yes Scotland. Just as I want to see an inclusive, ethical foreign policy, I can say that Yes Scotland is an inclusive organisation. We consist of people who have been born and brought up in Scotland. We also have people who have come from other countries to make Scotland their home. We consist of people of different parties, different political persuasions, and people like myself who are not members of any political party at all. We are a broad, inclusive organisation. We're not a front for the SNP, as some people claim. In fact, one of the problems that we have is this perception. I recently, I quite often meet my former constituents, maybe in the street or in the shops or wherever, football, and recently I had a woman who's a long-time supporter of mine, a real dyed-in-the-wool Labour supporter, and she said to me, Dennis, surely you're not asking that you vote SNP. My father would kill me. I said, look, Janet, your father's been dead for more than 20 years. And besides, I'm not asking you to vote for any political party. This referendum next year is much more important than that. This referendum next year is not a vote for any political party. It is a vote for Scotland's future. It is a vote for your future and the future of your family and your community. So, can we win? Well, if you believe some of the pundits and the opinion polls, then we've got a difficult job ahead of us. Well, I've always said that this campaign is more like a marathon than a short sprint. And sometimes the guy that's ahead at half time in the marathon is not the guy that breasts the tape at the end of the race. We have a lot of hard work to do over the next 12 months, but we in Yes Scotland have a team that is up to the challenge. We have an army of volunteers throughout the length and breadth of Scotland, and we have the potential to lead the biggest grassroots campaign that Scotland has ever seen. And we aim to take our positive message out to every town, every city, every village, every street, every community, every workplace in Scotland. And our positive message is this: there is only through independence that the people of Scotland will be empowered to build a new Scotland, a better Scotland, a more prosperous Scotland, a fairer Scotland, and a Scotland that will play its full part in the international community in order to help to build a better world. That is our message, and when we succeed in getting that message across to the people of Scotland, we shall win a famous and historic victory.